Hey guys, it's Maxine. Thank you so much for watching. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing my client's blonde balayage. I've done her hair before, so this is her previous balayage, all grown out and kind of faded and stuff like that. But we're going to be freshening up her roots today and bringing her balayage back to a fresh color. And yeah, so I'm definitely going to be showing you guys every step of the way, and I'm going to tell you the formulas that I use. Definitely don't forget to subscribe to my channel, especially if you want to see more color videos in the future. And definitely leave me any comments or questions that you have in the comment section, because I definitely try to answer as many as possible. And also follow me on Instagram. It's at Maxine Glynn. I'll leave it listed in the description because I post all of my formulas like written out form just so that it's easier to kind of follow. And also, don't forget to turn on your post notifications. Just hit the bell to turn them on so that you're always notified every time I upload a new video. But yeah, so like I said, we're just going to be freshening up my client's balayage and blonding her out because her natural color is like pretty blonde, but it gets darker like over the winter and stuff like that. And yeah, we just want to bring her back to that nice blonde color. So if you guys want to watch me do this blonde balayage, then definitely keep watching. So the first thing that I do is I mix up my lightener. This is Matrix Light Master, and I mix this with 20 volume. And I also added some 30 volume into this as well, just to give it a little bit more strength than just 20. And yeah, so I also like more of like a medium consistency because I don't like when it's too thin or too thick. I just try to get it to be like that medium, pasty kind of consistency so that when I drop it back into the bowl, it's very like, it kind of does this like peaking thing. But I definitely don't like when it's too thick. And I also added a little bit of some Olaplex into her lightener as well. I think that's also why I like to just add a little bit of 30 in. If I ever mix the Olaplex in with the lightener, I just kind of like to make it a little bit stronger just in case the Olaplex kind of gets in the way or weakens it a little bit. But yeah, so the next thing that I do is I like to part my client's hair where they naturally part their hair. So I'll either, balayage it on the side part, or if they like to part it in the middle sometimes, then I'll switch it to the middle and balayage from that. But then I like to go from the crown down to the back of the ear, and I section off the sides, just kind of get them out of the way, because the first piece that I'll be balayaging is at the nape of the head, at the neck. And on this client's hair, I took about a 1/2 inch slice, and I just like to saturate it really well halfway down the slice, get it all nice and saturated, and then I kind of like to fold the ends up into my hand a little bit just so that they're not flopping all around. And I'll go in with my color brush and I'll make like a V section. So after I make the V section, that's when I'll go in and start to kind of back comb with the color brush. And yeah, so I don't worry about the blending like right away. Like I'll make the V like shape first, and then I'll go back in and blend it out. And I always like to just flip the piece upside down like this, kind of flip it up and feather out the underneath, just so that there's no like blotches I have to worry about, you know what I mean? And then as I bring it back down, I just kind of make sure everything looks nice and blended. And then I'll like to lay it in a foil, and I stick the ends to the foil, and I'll wipe off my hands, and then I'll layer over a nice clean foil. Sometimes I like to fold the foil in a little bit if I feel like I'm worried about it slipping, but a lot of times there's enough lightener on the hair that the two foils just stick to each other pretty well. Now I'm just doing the exact same thing I did at the nape, and usually this is like the wider section of the head. Usually I would split this into two, but on her I just went ahead and I just did one slice because she's pretty light naturally, so I don't really, on this client, I don't really have to worry about it getting like blotchy or like hard to lighten really. So yeah, like I'll still flip the piece under and feather out the underneath, but because she's so light naturally and the ends are already so much lightened, like I don't really have to worry about splitting her hair into 2 sections. Like I usually would do 2 slices next to each other because this is like way too wide of a section for the most part on most clients. So yeah, like this is kind of like a rare exception because like I said, she's naturally pretty light. I don't have to worry about really fighting through any warm, like, you know, pigment or anything like that. And also, it was really just mainly for time's sake, the reason why I did it this way, because she has tons and tons of hair. And yeah, like I said, you really can't get away with taking any shortcuts when you're going to lighten somebody's hair. But because she's so light naturally, I took a little shortcut here and I'm just doing like a bunch of wide sections. And it works in my favor because of the situation of how her natural color is so light anyway. But yeah, so I'm taking really wide sections to save me some time because she has tons and tons of hair. But also because I'm taking such wide sections, the very first piece I did like a V shape, and now all these other pieces I'm doing a W shape. So you can kind of tell like how I'm going in the middle. I'm doing one, you know, streak in the middle as well. So I'm making more of a W shape. But yeah, I'm definitely still going and feathering all of these pieces out to make sure that there's no harsh chunks or lines or anything like that. But yeah, her hair really does naturally lighten so well, and I do pop her under heat at some point, like at the end, you know, just to make sure that everything lightens super nice and everything. And as you can see, because I'm working on such a wide slice, I'll just go in with like a horizontal foil, and then at the ends I'll go in vertical and just stick the ends to the foil. And yeah, I just like to work like and put the foils horizontal like that because it really just saves so much time on clients that have so much hair. But like I said, this is the rare exception. I usually don't go this wide with balayage slices, and I'll always just split it in 2. If you watch like all of my other balayage videos, most of the time I split it into 2 and do like 1 slice to the left and 1 slice to the right. But yeah, this client has so much hair, and for time's sake, I just did a bunch of really wide W sections. And yeah, so I didn't have to deal with like fitting a slice into like a really skinny foil. I just turned the foil like horizontal, and that way I don't have to fight with like fitting it into the foil. So yeah, I just do like a horizontal foil at the roots, and then on the ends just kind of lay it on a vertical foil. And yeah, I'm basically gonna do like her entire back section like this, a bunch of really wide W sections and W shapes. But yeah, so I'm just going to continue to do every section just like this, the same way with the W, and then feathering it all out on the top and on the bottom. But on any balayage that I do, I pretty much like to make my shape first. And you see how harsh it is right there? Like I just did that, you know, slice. It's super harsh. But I just like to make my shape first, and then I'll go back in and start to feather up because I just feel like that's the quickest way for me to do balayage. So, you know, if you guys try it that way and it helps you do a faster balayage, that's definitely like a huge trick or tip that I have, you know. Like don't worry about feathering it or blending it yet, you know, like just go in and make your shape. Let it be as harsh as you want it, like who cares, you know, and then just go back in and like back home with your color brush and feather it all up. Like, yeah, all the harshness will get removed, you know, like just because you lay the lightener down initially super harsh doesn't mean that you can't just like feather it out quick, you know. I just found that that really helps me do such a fast balayage, and yeah, so hopefully that helps you guys too. But yeah, I'm just going to do every section the same way, and I'm just going to speed this up now so you don't have to watch me do the same thing over and over again. But stay tuned to how I do the sides. It's basically the same, but you know, just to watch the side and the front like money piece area, I think is nice too, because that's the most important. Like that's the part that the client is going to see in the mirror, and that's just the most important, you know what I mean? So yeah, just keep watching. So I already went ahead and balayaged the left side, and I'm just going to be showing the right side angle because it's a better view in the camera anyway. But the first section I'm going to be taking is right above her ear, but I'm definitely adding, you know, like the face frame, a lot of the hairline pieces in so that the face frame comes out nice. But because it's like a smaller, not as wide section, I'm going to go and do that V section, the V shape, I mean, because it's not as wide of a slice, so I don't have to do the W. If I was to do the W, it would take too much of the dimension away. Like on smaller sections, you want to leave as much dimension as possible because that's the only way that that highlight that you add in is going to like pop, you know? So on this smaller, less wide section, I'm going to just do a V, and I'll do the wider W sections when we get closer to the top. But yeah, like in the face frame, I definitely want this to lighten really natural and be like naturally lightened by the sun. So I just like to concentrate that face frame lightening area, you know. And yeah, on her hair, it looks so good. Like when it lightens, it definitely looks natural, like it was naturally lightened by the sun, because her natural color, even though it looks like a light brown, it's definitely like a dark blonde, kind of light brown. It's like in between. But yeah, like being inside and the winter and all that, like the natural color always kind of darkens a little bit. But in the summer, her natural color tends to get lighter. Like that's just, any blonde client can kind of relate to that. But yeah, so we just like to blonde her up and get her back to like that color that looks really good on her skin tone, and it's like more natural for her. And like I said, now that we're getting into a little bit of a wider section, I'm just going to feather up that little W type of shape. And it's going to be even stronger of a W as we get closer to the top, which is like a super wide section. But it's definitely, you know, we're getting into the W shape now. And yeah, I just feel like it's going to add, it keeps dimension, but you also don't want too much dimension. It's kind of like that in between somewhere. And like whatever client you're working on, like you just have to kind of assess the situation. And some clients you want to keep more dimension, some clients you want to, you know, do more of blonde. Like it just definitely depends on like what the goal is, what kind of hair they have naturally, what picture they show you, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, so for this client, I kind of just switch it up depending on how wide the section is. But like some clients want to be like super, super blonde on blonde. So in that case, maybe you would want to just, you know, do a W all around, or a balayage closer to the root. Maybe you do like a V or a U shape, but like really close to the root. You can see like I'm keeping her natural root pretty long because we want it to be super dimensional and natural for her. But like some clients who want to be like super, super blonde on blonde, I might not leave all of that natural root behind. I might really, really feather all this lightener really close to her root, you know? So it totally just depends on your client, but this is how I'm doing this specific client. We like to keep her very natural and dimensional, yeah, because it grows out the nicest. She's like a college kid, and, you know, like I don't get to see her like every 6 weeks or something. Not that anybody really wants to come in every 6 weeks anyway, but like even if I don't see her for like 4 months, 6 months or whatever, usually it's like 4 months. Like even if I don't get to see her too quick, like it still grows out so nice and natural and seamless and just like natural. Yeah, so for her hair, we just definitely like to blonde it up, but like also keep a lot of dimension. Like you could tell like in the back section, I definitely left like a lot of her natural out in between like the slices, like more than usual, like, you know what I mean? On the sides, I'm leaving like less hair out in between each slice, but in the back, I definitely left like a big chunk out and didn't color it because I wanted it to stay like nice and dimensional in the back, and then as we get to the front and the top, I blonde it up even more. But yeah, so like I said, everybody's different, but this is just the way that we like to do her hair. And this is what I mean about wanting this top and front to be like super, super blonded compared to like the back where I left a lot of that dimension. Like you can see her face frame right now is super, super chunky. And I did that on purpose because I want the top to be very blonde. And I still did the W section, you know, the W shape, I mean, but like, you know, I definitely wanted to blonde out this front a lot, you know. And I did a bolder face frame, like a really, really thick chunk in the front, because, you know, I wanted this to be very, you know, face framey. I wanted her face frame to be super blonde. But also when I go in later and do like the toner, like the color melt, I'll show you guys. But when I go in later and do the color melt, I always know that that root for the color melt that I do is gonna like minimize any of this boldness. Like I can leave as much boldness as I want, but I know that I'm gonna purposely kind of like, you know, minimize the boldness later on with the color melt because I'm going to mix up a darker color for her root. So I'm kind of like purposely going bolder in the blonding, and because I know I'm going to like kind of erase it a bit later on purpose. But I definitely want to give her like a significant face frame, like where it's blonde in the front, because also I purposely did that because like I said, I left a lot of dark in the back and I want to make this even blonder around her face and on the top because she definitely wants to be nice and blonde. So yeah, I just like to point that out, that I definitely purposely left like a super bold blonde piece in the front, because I want this to be blonder on the top and in the front. And now you can finally see it because it's in that direction, but I did more than just a W. I just kind of went in with 2 streaks in the middle where the W usually would go because we are on a wider section, and also, like I said, I want this to be as blonde as possible kind of on the top and in the front. So I did a little bit more than just a W, which would be taking a little bit more of that dimension away. So I just wanted to point that out. I did the exact same thing on this slice, which is the very top. I did a little bit more than a W. Like I said before, a nice bold face frame in the front, and then just kind of feathered up the lightener, you know, not just the W, but like 2 streaks in the middle, just so that this definitely gets nice and blonde. And then laying in that horizontal foil. Yeah, I just like to do like wider sections sometimes with horizontal foils, especially because, like I said, it saves so much time. Like if I would have split each of these sections into 2, with this client having so much hair, it would have just taken so long. But yeah, it's just like the rare occurrence. Like obviously if she had dark hair, I could never do that. It would be way blotchy. Like you kind of just can't cut corners sometimes, you know, but on this client, I was able to cut some corners, so it worked out. But I just popped her under the heat for about 10 minutes. And if you're just starting out, be super careful with heat. Maybe don't use it, or just be really, really cautious. But yeah, I know this client's hair. She has very strong hair. So I popped her under heat for like 10 minutes. And I just wanted it to lighten past like that orange tone. I don't mind if it's like yellow, because the toner will, you know, cancel all that yellow out. And plus we don't really want too ashy of a color on her. We like to keep her with like kind of a little bit of a warmer beige. Like I'll even add a little gold into her, you know, color and stuff like that. Well, with her toner. But I popped her under the dryer, like under the heat, for about 10 minutes, and then I rinsed all of the back out, and then I'll pop her back under the dryer for another, you know, 10-15 minutes while I mix up the color, and then I'll do like a nice shampoo and everything. I just want to point out really quick, when I like know that the back section lifted and it's at the perfect color and I'm ready to rinse, I'll leave all of the foils on the side and I'll just rinse the back. I don't shampoo the back. I'll just rinse all of the lightener out of the back and then kind of clip it back up, pop her back under the dryer, let the rest of it lighten and process. And then once everything's done, that's when I'll do like the shampoo and condition and everything like that. And usually like when they're, you know, continuing to process with the sides, that's like when I'll take my window of opportunity and mix up any toner or color melt formulas or anything like that. So most likely right now I have already mixed her color melt and it's just sitting at the station waiting for me to be done with her shampoo, and then I'm going to be applying her color melt. So now she's all shampooed, conditioned, detangled, and I'm going to be applying her root formula. This is the color melt. So I mixed up Matrix Color Sync, which is a demi-permanent, and I did a little bit of a darker color on her root, but it's basically still super light. I mixed up 9V, 9G, and 9N. 9V is violet, that's going to cancel the yellow. 9G is gold, and that's going to keep a lot of her natural gold colors into her skin tone so that this doesn't make it too, you know, ashy. And then also 9N, which is like neutral, but it's a very sandy, beigey type of color, which I just really like to add into a lot of formulas because I just feel like it's super natural looking. And I mixed it with equal parts of 10 volumes, so I did a half ounce of 9N, a half ounce of 9G, and a half ounce of 9V. And I mixed that with an ounce and a half of 10 volume. And I also added Olaplex into both of the formulas. So the whole color melt has Olaplex in it because that's just going to help strengthen the hair and everything. And then for the formula on the ends, I did Matrix Color Sync again. And that's an ounce of 10 violet. I also did a half ounce of 10G. I didn't want as much G in the ends. I definitely wanted most of the ends to be violet. And then I did a half ounce of 10 neutral, and same thing, equal parts. So that's 2 ounces of 10 volume. So the root formula in the very front, I only like to put it about a ½ inch onto the roots. And then in the back, like even on the sides, kind of like above her ear, and then all the way in the back, I do a little bit farther down, maybe like an inch. But in the very, very front, like hairline, I try to only do it like a ½ inch because I want this to be very blonde in the front and then the darker color dragged down farther in the back. So like on the back, I kind of go a little bit farther down, like closer to an inch. But yeah, at least everything's mixed up, and I'm going to finish applying the roots, and then I'll show you guys how I put the ends on. So I'll go in with the roots on the entire head, and then after the entire head has its roots on, I'll just take my wide tooth comb and I'll just comb down on the hair a bit, not all the way to the ends, just where that, root color ends. I'll just kind of comb really quick, and then I'll go back in with the ends formula and I'll just saturate all of the ends, and I'll purposely mix the two colors together on the slice of hair because that's where the color melt comes in. You definitely want the two colors to mix, but just you want to make sure that the root color has majority of the dark and the ends color has all of the color on the ends, because you want the ends, or at least in this case, I definitely want the ends to stay super light. So I don't want really any of that dark root color touching the ends. So just mixing the two colors in the middle and just that one little section is perfect. And then everything else on the ends has just the ends formula. But yeah, after I apply all the roots, I go in and I comb it, and then I'll put all of the ends on. And every client's different with processing time, but this client I let process for 5 minutes because that's really all she needed. Her hair is just a little porous, so all 5 minutes was perfect. And I also didn't want this getting too dark, like the 10. I didn't use like a level 11. I didn't mix any clear into my level 10. I just mixed up level 10. So I definitely don't want this to pull too close to a level 9. I really did want this to be close to a level 10 in the end. So yeah, I didn't want this to sit on too long and get too dark or anything. So 5 minutes was perfectly good enough. And then I shampooed her, conditioned her, and brought her back to my station to do the haircut and style and everything. I really love how color looks like when it's processing. It just is so satisfying to look at as it processes. But I wanted to show you guys this clip because you can see how in the very back I dragged this darker color down farther, and it has like that halo kind of in the back, so that it's blonder in the front, darker in the back, and you can kind of just see like that halo for itself a little bit more, and how I dragged that darker root color down farther in the back, and in the very front I left it blonder in the front. But you can see it like even as it processes, so I think it's just kind of fun to see the color working before your eyes. But yeah, like I said, after about 5 minutes, I'll lay her back in the sink, wash it, condition it really well, and yeah, like you could see how sandy and kind of beigey the color is like processing. It's not really, even though I added like a little pinch of gold, it definitely isn't like screaming gold or anything, but it's definitely not screaming ash. It's like a nice natural color on her, and yeah, we just love how it comes out. So to make the blow dry go by faster, I really like to shake it out first. I shake as much of the moisture out as possible, get it like at least 70% dry, and then I'll go back into like the very front area, and I really love to blow dry like the front and the roots first, or the top first and the front first, because I really just love to see the color right away and not have to wait. Yeah, I just love blow drying the front and top first because we really just get to see the color right away, so that we know we love it and we can just kind of continue styling the rest of the hair and just already know we love it, But also we've been at this for a couple hours now and we're both just excited to see it, so I like to just get this out of the way first. And then even though I really love adding a beach wave into my client's hair, especially for pictures and video, but I also love to in this moment point out that they can wear their hair straight or curly, it doesn't matter. Even if they wore their hair straight, it's perfectly well blended and it's just going to be growing out super seamless So yeah, whether she wears her hair straight, which is how she usually wears her hair, it's definitely going to look super nice and natural and seamless, and she doesn't have to worry about any of that. But adding like a little curl in or a beach wave, it just makes it like fun or, you know, just stylish. I just like to add the beach waves in for pictures and stuff. I'll just take like nice big sections, add a quick beach wave in. It just helps to kind of like smooth the cuticle down and really helps the color shine, and it shows the dimension off a little bit. And then I'll go in with a nice serum like Paul Mitchell Super Skinny Serum, or just like any one that I have at my station at the moment. I love them all. But I'll just go in and break up the curls or waves with my fingers really quick. And yeah, it just makes it look so nice and lived in and natural, and on her hair it looks so good. Okay guys, this is the final color, all complete. I really hope you guys got a lot out of this video. I really do try to add as many tips and tricks and information in as possible, and I really hope it helps. And I really hope you guys got a lot out of it. Thank you so much for watching me do this blonde balayage on my client. And if you stay tuned to like the very end, you'll get to see what this looks like in the natural daylight, because I took her outside. It was like a nice day and it's really blonde outside, so definitely stay tuned to see that. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Definitely don't forget to subscribe to my channel, especially if you want to see more color videos in the future. Join my YouTube family and stick around, and definitely subscribe. And like I said before, follow me on Instagram. It's at Maxine Glynn. It's in the description, and I'll post all of my written out formulas on all of my posts, so definitely follow me on Instagram. Turn the bell on for post notifications so that you're always notified every time I upload a new video, and ask me any questions or leave any comments you have in the comment section. I absolutely love to hear from you guys. So yeah, definitely comment. And yeah, I just love how this color came out. I love the beach waves on her hair, and it just looks so good and natural on her. And you see how like the level 9 on the roots just added like that shadow. Even though I didn't really darken the roots that much, it just added like a little bit of that shadow. It just helps this grow out so nice and seamless, and it's just like lived in right off the bat. So she's not going to have to deal with any like crazy root or anything in like 4 weeks, 6 weeks. How like a regular highlight with no shadow root, no color melt would just grow out with like a straight line. That just totally gets nipped in the butt. We don't have to deal with any of that grow out, you know what I mean? So yeah, the shadow root, even though a color melt, shadow root, the formula, sometimes you don't have to go that dark. I just did a level 9 on her root, and it just added that softness to the root, you know? So yeah, we love how it came out, and the waves and beach waves on her hair look so, so good. And yeah, I took her out into like the natural daylight because it was a nice day, and look how much blonder this looks outside. Like literally it's so much blonder outside. That's the power of lighting. Like that's why lighting matters so much, and the lighting just changes the color like literally before your eyes. This is the exact same client, same hair and everything, you know, but yeah, it's so much blonder outside. But all right guys, well that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.
Oh, so give me your all. I'll take it to Mars. Oh, I'll stick like glue inside your mind. Just watch me breathe.